Entering the Pat Mayo Experience.
Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Experience. Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by Jägermeister. Give your beer a real shot on this Independence Day with an ice-cold shot of Jägermeister. Although if you do that, you might not make it to the night. But I recommend doing it anyway. Maybe we'll get a second wind. Enjoy them fireworks. I'm Pat Mayo. I'm here breaking down the Greenbrier Classic taking on... It's not the Greenbrier Classic. It's like Go Military at the Greenbrier or something like that. They change it up all the time. Reid Fowler's on the line. I do want to let everyone know that if they want to get into the draw for some DK bucks, go back and watch Monday and Tuesday's show. You'll find it in there. Or just circumvent the entire process. Go to iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you download the audio version of this podcast. Leave a 5-star review. Say something nice about the show and leave your DK handle, because I'll be doing a draw from that as well. And I appeared on the TakeCast, Davis Maddox podcast, earlier this week, and we're giving away one yearly membership to FantasyNational.com. So you're going to have to go download that, listen to it, and figure out how to get into that draw. There's only like 30 people in that draw right now. $200 value. It's not so bad. Reid Fowler from DK Live. What's going on, my man? I thank you for doing this, by the way. I know you're not drunk yet, I hope.
No, not yet. I'm trying to drink my Starbucks coffee and do the most American thing. I just saw Joey Chestnut. He won another hot dog challenge. He ate like 74 hot dogs in 10 minutes or 4, whatever the challenge was. Pretty disgusting, but that's the most American thing we can do, right? Is just chomp down hot dogs and wait till we drink until it's later on in the day.
See, that doesn't sound so bad. I'm still upset that my main man, Kobayashi, isn't allowed to compete anymore, because that guy was a real hero.
He was. I mean, I feel like Joey Chestnut, he's just, I mean, he's the guy that, I mean, I think he was on Amazing Race too, and he just did not look like he was in good form. Again, I feel like he's the most American guy, right, in America. This guy's just chomping down hot dogs and taking the laps in the field with his talent. So anyway, get to the Greenbrier.
Yeah, he's just living the American dream is really what we're all. So I do want to let people know there's a new Cuss Corner dropping on Friday where Tim talks about things to barbecue, and hot dogs are shockingly high on that list. He also admits to eating raw hot dogs, which is just disgusting. I thought it was pretty funny. It's me, Jeff, and Cuss, so you want to check that out, dropping Friday. UFC, DraftKings Picks and Preview Show, and the Tough Finale. The Friday night card will be up with Paul and Cody a little bit later on tonight. So fresh content for everyone when you're hungover on a Thursday and Friday, plus some more football with Levitan and Kaufman on Saturday and Sunday. And, of course, British Open next week. The big show, I mean, it's in 2 weeks. The big show is next week, so you'll want to stay tuned for all of that stuff with the giveaways. Become a member of Fantasy National. I think that's everything. Let's get into the question. Vince, first in the chat, says, how does Reid feel about summer? Where would you rank summer amongst the 4 seasons? Now, you're from Hawaii, so summer must be, like, legit for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's year-round, right? So we don't have seasons in Hawaii. It's just one. It's summer. So obviously it ranks high for me. I've never been a guy who obviously likes the cold, but I've moved progressively. I went to school in Colorado and now I live in Boston. I've moved progressively colder each time I've made a move. So summer ranks pretty high, although it gets pretty hot up here. I don't mind the fall, but summer's number one. I mean, come on.
So, I mean, is Boston going through the same heat wave that we're going through in Toronto right now? Like, it's been like 105, 107. I had to look that up and put it into the Celsius conversion calculator just so I could see. I mean, on Independence Day, I have to speak to an American audience here, so because I'm so grateful people are tuning in. Also, give the episode a like. That's something that you guys can do for us to help keep this show free. But, like, yeah, like 105. I think it reached like 110 on Saturday. Like, that's hot for up here. I like it.
No, we're not that bad. I think it was probably mid to high 90s. The humidity is really what gets us. It actually wasn't too bad. I think Connecticut down those, New York, they got a pretty bad heat wave in terms of the humidity. We usually get it pretty hard up here in Boston. I mean, especially when it gets cold or even now when it gets hot. Not too bad today, actually. Mid 80s. It's really, really nice. So perfect day to be outside barbecuing, eating those hot dogs, and hopefully it's cooked, not raw. But it's not too bad.
Yeah, well, let's hope you don't want to get worms. That's always tough. Although, getting worms, great weight loss method if you ever want to go down that route. And it helped Fry from Futurama. So, there's always hidden benefits to any of this stuff. Weather-wise, for the Greenbrier, if we're looking at it Thursday, potential chance of nightly thunderstorms, which could soften up the course for Friday. Right now, the low of 68, high of 87. 40% chance of precipitation later on in the day. Friday, 80% chance of precipitation, showers, thunderstorms, so we might experience some delays. Highs up to 79, and on the weekend, it's going to be cooler, less humid because the thunderstorms, that's generally what happens. If you're big on like the barometer is what I'm used to calling it. The barometer, is that what they call it? That measures the air pressure.
Yeah, that's what they call it here.
Okay, yeah. So when you get the thunderstorms, wipes it all out. So less humidity on the weekend. Highs of 78, highs of 77. Doesn't seem like there's going to be a ton of wind. The highest it seems is going to be 15 miles per hour on Saturday coming out of the east, and really that's nothing to concern yourself with. They're saving up all the wind for the British Open in 2 weeks when we're going to have like 60 mile per hour winds for like 30 minutes and then no wind for 21 minutes, and this is going to be awful. When you're on the North Sea, crazy stuff can happen. So, into the chat, and the pick cheat sheet's up on my Facebook page right now with the bets and one and dones. My DK cheat sheet has been updated. Poor Brendan Hagee had to withdraw, so I had to remove him. I had the pivot plays, the high-owned guys in there already updated as well. Don't usually do that till after, but I had time in my hands this morning. Kevin asks, in light of recent picks, no way I can use Phil this week, right? I'm not using Phil. He's incredibly Andercursed, but any sort of modeling that you look at, Phil's going to rank out almost near the top, whether it's bent grass putting. The only thing he doesn't rate out well at is course history at the Greenbrier, because I know it's a weird narrative, but I think it's party time for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, no, that's not weird at all. I think when you look at this course and everyone says it, it's really gettable. And I'm sure this is why they do it, right? It's 4th of July. You have all these events around this course. That's why we see Bubba and Webb and Phil bring the whole family here. They have, obviously they have residents on the compound. It's what it is, right? It's sort of this family-friendly event, and the course is going to cater towards that. It's an easy course. All of these guys say, they say it's gettable. And if the weather is benign, Tiger mentioned it a few years ago, it's a gettable course. So yes, Phil's going to pop in our models. Yes, he's a guy that, is one of the top golfers in terms of ranking in this field. But like you said, he and Xander are the guys at the top that I'm full fading. There might be a narrative that he wants to change the quote-unquote narrative of him running after his putt at Shinnecock. I don't believe that. I think he's a guy, like you said, he's going to the crap stables. He's going to gamble. He's going to have fun. And if he wins, that's a cherry on top.
So you mentioned the guys above $10,000. Finau, Mickelson, Bubba, Webb, Henley, and Xander. I went over this when CJ Bedford described his process to me, and a lot of people that I've been talking to. And you can go check out that video. Highly recommend it. Did you watch the strategy video, Reid?
Yeah, I did. It was interesting. I found it very interesting that he really shrinks the core. I mean, I think that's what you got to do, right? You don't want to pay the rake. I mean, a lot of us say in the industry, like, you don't want to spread it too far. Yes, you can spread it in some cases where there's a stronger field, but where I really took that away is really shrinking the core of your players and really honing in on those guys. And there are some here that you can really play like contrarian.
So what I did this week is I really worked hard to condense my core, because I'm a bit of a sprinkler down at the bottom. I'll take a few shots. I really tried to get away. In full disclosure, I played 25 lineups this week. I have 20 players in my player pool after I had to eliminate Hagee. That helped, actually, to help me concentrate a little bit more. I would have preferred to play Hagee, but here we are. I'm only playing one player from above $10,000, and that's Russell Henley. No, actually, not true. I used some Webb Simpson as well.
Yeah, same here. I'm trying to fade Bubba. I'm really trying to. I think he's a guy that, like you said, I mean, he just wants to have fun. He's the quintessential American, the American guy that if he's not in his trailer traveling from course to course and tournament to tournament, he has these residents that he just likes to hunker down. I think he's a guy who just wants to have fun this week. Yes, he has 3 victories. Yes, he's playing well. He's the only other guy that I might think about sprinkling in some lineups just in case. But yeah, Webb and Henley are the other 2 guys above 10K that I'm using. Yeah,
Webb, Henley, Neiman are my 3 core guys from the very top. Then, of course, when you're condensing your core, that leaves a lot of people on the cutting room floor, like Jimmy Walker. And the next question comes from Nick. He says, "What's up with Walker last week? I'd like to say it was a fluke week, but it was extremely bad. The core set up well for him. Do you think last week, or it's not a big concern? Thoughts?" I actually think this week sets up way better, because the one thing with Jimmy Walker, I mean, he's had the bouts with Lyme disease. He wasn't able to string 4 rounds together all that well because of energy. But even historically, the thing that always kind of crippled Jimmy Walker a little bit is that he sprays his driver everywhere. And when you're dealing with a course that, I mean, the only reason he made the cut is because he chipped in on 17 on Friday. That got him to the number, and that's how he ended up getting through. I mean, I would have preferred he take the week off. I would have liked him more this time around. But at the Greenbrier, and we're going to see this the next 2 weeks. Now, I know a lot of people aren't in the field at TPC Deer Run for the John Deere Classic, but 68, it's right around 70% of fairways hit for the field this week. These are wide fairways. They're easy to hit. There's not much muck to get into. Now, Jimmy Walker's one of the few that could probably spray it into the woods somewhere. But even next week at TPC Deer Run, even more people hit the fairway because it's just not a long course, like 72% of people. So these 2 weeks are easy off the tee. So Jimmy can take driver. It's going to be a lot easier for him to recover and not make those big numbers this week. I'm not using him personally, but I do think he's actually quite a good play that if you wanted to not use someone like J.B. Holmes or Ryan Moore, who are going to be a bit chalkier, Jimmy Walker might make a really nice pivot play.
Yeah, I mean, I got him projected around that 10% or less. And like you said, Jimmy Walker, where we don't want him is where off the tee is actually a primary key statistic, because you're right, he sprays it. And if you look over long term and short term, he just doesn't hit his driver well. But if you look at his finishes, he's got 4 top 10s and 2 top 5s. You know, last year he did, I think he was top 20, and he's got a T2 here at Greenbrier. So there is some course history. He stacks out well in terms of DK points, right? Strokes gained tee to green approach over the last 24. You know, it's like, where do you want Jimmy Walker? Is he a guy, like you said, that could easily be a nice pivot play off of these chalky guys? Obviously, he's got the talent. He's a major winner. At this price tag, though, it's a little scary, because if he's not right, if that approach game and if that tee to green game isn't something that we see that is coming together, he's a scary guy to pay up at that price.
Next question is from Billy. Will Russell Henley be a popular one-and-done pick? I would say he's going to be the most popular or the second most popular, because everyone's using Neiman, everyone's using Henley. So almost everyone else. Paul, who'd you use?
Henley.
Paul's using Henley. Paul's in 11th in the one-and-done. I use Russell Henley on one of my 2 teams. I think I use Corey Connors on the other one, just because, you know, I'd like to make up some ground. But even when you go back and look at the past champions of this event, like, it's a stark contrast, like, to next week at Deer Run, because I've been writing John Deere in the morning to get ahead of the game here. But like, it's a really scrubby field. But if you go back and look at the winners, all the winners are really good at TPC Deer Run. Like, Stricker's won 3 times, Zach Johnson's won, Spieth's won twice, DeChambeau won last year, Ryan Moore, Brian Harman. When you look at the winners of this event, like, it's all over the map. Like, it's just like, this is a very scrubby event. So it might be a good spot to fade the chalk in terms of one and done here. Now, if Henley wins, you're screwed. But if you're not winning, you had to make that move anyway in order to catch up. If you want to make that chalky play, like, I'm not completely out of it. So if Henley wins, you know, I'd like to benefit from that. But even dropping to like your Charles Howells, or even someone way down the list, like if you wanted to use Ryan Armour or Ted Potter Jr., this is one of the weeks where I don't usually ever recommend taking not a top-end player for one and done, because I don't think it's really even necessary. Paul and I were going through Cuss' team, and Cuss just takes the biggest losers on the board almost every single week. It's like, and he hasn't used like Spieth or Dustin or whatever. I don't even know if he's saving them. He's just not using like any of the top 10. Like, you only get 40 tournaments. You got to use these guys at some point, but this is one of the few where I think you can go down the list and really take a shot if you have a feeling on someone.
Yeah, and Charles Howell, I mean, doesn't just Charles Howell III winning at the Old White Course just sound like something that fits together? I mean, a guy with, you know, he's another guy that we try to, you know, find a spot. Usually on the California swing, he pops, but he's playing too well, I think, of late to not play Charles Howell. So if you're not playing Henley, a guy that I really like is Charles Howell for that one and done. He's going to be in my core. And some other guys, like you mentioned, Corey Connors, you can take these guys. Even a guy like Keith Mitchell, someone that I really like, that if you want to take some of these flyers, and like what you mentioned earlier this week, taking these rookies or these guys that, you know, they want to get points. They want to, you know, sort of lay their stake in the PGA. They want to win. We've seen rookies here win before. I think that's something to really look into, because these guys will come in with motivation to win.
Yeah, and this course sets up a lot, and this brings us to our next question from Chad. What are the comp courses do you see with the Greenbrier? The only one that I've heard so far is the Safeway Open. That's at Silverado, and that's from my column, so that's the one that I put out there. It's a very similar field in terms of field strength. You get your top guys at the top. Phil actually generally plays that one every single year. Kevin Na plays it every single year. So you see a lot of the same sorts of players. Like the recent Web.com grads are generally all there, and most of them are in the field this week too. And it's an easy course. It's a shootout course. So your Brennan Steele types, tee to green type players, bad putters, can go really, really well at both kinds of courses. The only one that I can really think of I'm sure there's some on the web.com tour that I'm just completely overlooking, but Shriners, TPC Summerlin, the one in Vegas, because that's also played at elevation. And it's a score fest to go out and go get it, and it's a very similar strength of field as well. So those would be the two. I don't think that they directly correlate, but in terms of field strength, the types of scores that win, and the course setup, and the course conditions, I think that's what you would be looking for if you're really looking for some sort of comp. And I think there's a really strong one here.
Yeah, maybe career builder. And then like you were saying, you're right, you're trying to look at everything, like strength of field and some of these other events, web.coms. And so there's no real course corollary that fits exactly. I mean, par 70s, right, you kind of rattle off a few. We've had about 3 or 4 in a row. So if you want to take current form and you like that a little bit more than course history over the last 5 or 6 years, I would say look into that a little bit more. But Safeway and Career Builder are the ones that I was looking at mostly.
So, yeah, Career Builder is tough, though, because you don't get a whole you can just look at results from that, but where it's played across 3 courses, it gets kind of tough. But it is that shootout mentality if you're looking at it, too. Hit the fairway, hit the green, and make some putts, be on your way. That's what you're doing here as well. Greg asks, how about Lovemark after Sunday's disaster? Yeah, it was bad out there for Jamie Lovemark, along with Harold Varner being such a good value pick. Also, would you fade any of the guys above 10K and go with players below that range to start your course? So the bottom part first, in terms of fading the guys from above 9,000, I'm not playing any shares of Finau, Phil, Bubba, Xander, Harman, or Jimmy Walker. I do have shares of Webb Simpson, Russell Henley, Neiman, Charles Howell, and JB Holmes. So that's my core at the top. And I did play a little bit of Ryan Moore, like 20%. But I really tried to focus in, play these guys 30, 40, 50% based on how strongly I feel about them, Henley and Neiman being my 2 favorite plays from the very top. I have no Lovemark here. Lovemark's a really weird one because he scores well on par 5s. The approach is good. He makes up a lot of strokes around the green, though, and I just don't see that popping for me whatsoever this week. That I'm going to try to really just take the guys that hit a ton of greens in regulation and hopefully that their putter can get hot and go on my way. And as a part of, he would have been like on the next part if I had played my regular build where I played like 25 to 30 guys, he probably would have found his way into the mix, but he was one of the final cuts for me, so none for him. I know Gup love Harold Varner III, but I don't play HV3.
Yeah, he's been playing like garbage. Yeah, he popped here and there, and maybe on the shorter courses, if you run the mixed model, easy courses, HV3 I think is going to pop a little bit. When I ran my mixed model, he was up there, and I'm like, no way. Lovemark, he's interesting. He's right by Brian Gay, and I think Brian Gay is a nice play. We've seen it. We've seen him play well in 2 tournaments back-to-back last year and this year. So I do like Brian Gay in that spot. For me, like I said earlier, the guys I'm fading at the top, it's going to be Xander. It's going to be Phil. I am playing JB Holmes. That guy burned me so bad last week. But I am playing JB Holmes at that 9,000. I do obviously like these guys. Aren't one bad week doesn't make a bad month for these guys unless you're like Smiley Kaufman. Right. So like I'm going back to JB. I think he burned quite a bit of people, including myself. And I think he's playing well. And again, he has to, right. He is, if his irons are hot, he's great, but it can fall off a cliff really quickly with him. So he is a GPP play for me. And that's where I'm going there.
Yeah, I always like him at courses that have shorter par 4s. That's really where he does his damage. Yeah. Obviously, he scores well on par 5s, but 400 to 450-yard par 4s is JB's bread and butter, and we saw him just destroy them at the Travelers 2 weeks ago. Maybe he's playing too much golf. I don't know. Maybe he's burnt out. So maybe missing the cut's going to help him get a little bit of rest here, but I like him in a rebound spot. It was top 10 last year. I do like JB Holmes as well. I'm looking at the FantasyNational.com simulator right now. It's the first time I've actually peeked at it this week. Do you know who the favorite is in terms of the simulator to win this week?
Charles Howell.
Joaquin Neiman.
I mean, if there is a spot for a guy, right? He's a rookie. He's great.
Per the simulator, he is his simulator odds based on 1,000 simulations. He'd be 19 to 1 to win. His betting odds right now are 28 to 1. They were up to 33 to 1 on Bovada very briefly. Then they dropped back down to 28, 25 are the number that you're seeing. Then it's Phil. Then it's Charles Howell III. Then it's Bubba. And then Kevin Na and Keegan Bradley. That's it. That entire, if you just played the top 5, I know it doesn't work with salary, but Neiman, Phil, Howell, Bubba, Na, Keegan Bradley, you would have to put a shot of Jäger in your beer when you're watching this. Just like, oh my God. It'd be the most tilting team of all time.
Yeah, I mean Keegan Bradley, this is like sort of his bread and butter. He plays really well in weak fields, and I mean, if he can knock the ball out there, and if he can make some putts, just match the field. And Keegan's a solid player. I'm not playing him. Kevin, no, I will have some. Like I said, he's feast or famine. He's a guy that you want to when he's on, and when he's not a chalk play, he's fantastic. Well, like every guy, but still, like Kevin Na is someone that I'm looking into. I think he stats out well for me, but Keegan, he's a guy that I'm staying away from this week. I can't.
I'm using Keegan. I'm not using Kevin Na in that $8,000 range. And this is all up in my cheat sheet on DK Playbook as well. Moore at 89, Keegan Bradley at 85, and Brian Gay at 8,100 were the only three people that I touched in the. Well, I didn't physically touch them, but in my lineups, they've been touched like an angel in my lineups. Those are the three guys. I gave a hard look to Kisner. I just couldn't pull the trigger, but he's going to come in at like 4% owned.
Is there any love for Lahiri?
No, I don't like Lahiri.
Never, right?
Yeah, I mean, the guy in the chat who pumps up Lahiri every week is like probably making bank right now. But he's been, and Gut pointed this out, he's been doing it with like at different parts of his game over the past few weeks. But last week was all putting related. Now, at his best, he hits the ball a mile, scores on par fours. If he keeps that putter hot, he's going to be pretty good. But I think he's going to be relatively chalky this week, and I don't want any part of chalky and Herban Lahiri. Next question, Vaughn Taylor. This is from Scott. Any good other options from below 7,000? I couldn't pull the trigger on Scott Stallings as Gup wanted to. I'm passing on my guy, the Riddler, Johnny. Can't go that road again after Sunday, and he just kind of mashed me. I'm playing everyone's favorite guy, Norman Zong. Is that how I'm going to pronounce it?
Yeah, Zhang.
Zhang?
I think there's a Z. When you see an X, it's Chinese. When you see that X, I think it's pronounced Z.
All right.
So Zhang.
So it's just like with Xander Schauffele. It's a Z.
Yeah.
All right.
So I saw that thing the guy posted on Twitter, the Zando. I think the book mispronounced it or misspelled his last name or his first name. That's pretty great. I think you just got to play Zando when you get it there.
Well, maybe you get half of Lonto, half of Xander. I mean, boom. There you go. So the guys that I like from below that range. So Big Norm, I'm using at $6,500. We'll just call him that. David Hearn, Lonto, and who was the other guy? Garrigus. Is the other one that I'm using from down there. Stallings is someone popularity-wise from down there. I'm just trying to look at it right now. Who is the field gravitating towards? Big Norm, people are using. Summer Hayes, people are using, probably because of course history. Steve Marino, people are using. Vaughn Taylor is probably going to be the chalkiest of these guys. He won't reach double digits, but like 5-6% potentially. Sean O'Hare, people are using. Garrigus, people are using. John, people are using. Scott Stallings, Chris Stroud, he's at 7,000. Corey Connors at 7,000 is going to be popular as well. But it's such a weak field. It's really tough. If you got a feeling about any of these guys, kind of go with it. I do like Vaughn Taylor, though. I think Vaughn Taylor's all right.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be Lanto or Lonto, however you pronounce it. Garrigus is the same. I think, like you said, I think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards him, especially if you want to fit Finau. You're going to have to take a shot in the dark down here. Sam Saunders is a guy that I don't want to play.
You love Sam Saunders, though. He's your guy.
I do. I mean, because he just keeps decreasing in price, and there's a reason for that. It's because he's garbage, and he's playing like garbage this year. But at this course, right, we talked about it earlier, this course, anybody could win. So if I'm taking a flyer, if I want to fit if I want to go overweight in Tony Finau and be a little, differential down here, maybe, I'll take a look at it tonight. But Sam Saunders is another guy that I don't know yet.
Billy B asks, what's Big Norm's ownership going to be? The Fantasy National projected ownership has him at 4.9% right now, but I have a feeling it's going to come in below that simply because anyone using Fantasy National or tuning into this chat right now is very aware of Big Norm. The rest of the public, not so much.
No. What is odds?
300 to 1, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, no, hardly anybody's going to be playing Big Norm.
I'm playing Big Norm.
Yeah, like 5% of the DFS community that will take the chance to build lineups pre-4th of July, tune into this chat. So thank you guys. Give the episode a like. They'll play Big Norm, but like you said, I mean, not a lot.
Ryan asked, thoughts on Harman and Cash? I don't trust Neiman. Well, I don't trust Harman, so I'd rather use Neiman.
Yeah.
I don't trust Brian. I never trust Brian Harman. I can't. If I say play him, never play him. If I say don't play him, play him. That's usually how it works out with me and Brian Harman.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, he flashed a little bit, but no way. He's so untrustworthy. I'm not playing any Brian Harman. Nope.
Scott Ash, should I go with the all non-American team as all other players from the USA will be dealing with a 4th of July hangover? Sneaky move. I'm using some Americans. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, or maybe just take the most American names. I think a John Merrick, he might potentially get a Bubba, a JB, some of these really American names you can go. But yeah, I mean, the Canadians, I think there's a lot of Canadians that I like in this field. So Corey Connors is one of my favorite plays.
Yeah, Corey Connors, David Hearn. I'm always riding with some of these loser Canadians that. They're always cheap in price because they're not very good, but David Hearn does have a good course history. And ball striking wise, Corey Connors is actually popping. Like statistically, he's rating out really well. And he's been
even long form, even over the last 50 rounds, he's actually he pops and he's scoring birdies and he's scoring DK points. So I will take him. I'm going to be overweight and he's getting more popular. I mean, I think he's up to 10% now. If I looked last time I looked at Fantasy Nationals, so he's getting up there. So I'll have him in probably 20% of my lineups.
Killa Keith Mitchell is the topic of the next question. This comes from Ponderosa Sports. Thoughts on Keith Mitchell? Good fit with his length. We've seen so many different styles of players win here over the years. We've seen bombers. We've seen Ted Potter Jr., Stuart Appleby claim a Greenbrier victory. Danny Lee, and especially like Robert Streb's come second the last 2 times that's been at this course. So many. Can you make a few putts when you're hitting greens in regulation? That's what it really comes down to. And I just look at Keith Mitchell right now. He's such a losing putter long term. Maybe that flips for him this week. But the big thing that he had to his advantage, that he was gaining so much off the tee and so much with his irons, and that's just gone away, really. He spiked at Byron Nelson, and then he had a really good irons week at St. Jude and just couldn't convert it. And even gained strokes putting that week, but on the shorter course, could not control his driver whatsoever. Maybe he gets back into the positive driving game right now. If those irons aren't catching up, I'm full fade on Keith Mitchell.
Yeah, I'm going to take the long form. And yes, the putting is something that you want to see get back just to norm. I do like him. I like him here. I like his I think he's got about a few top 10 finishes, top 5s. And then like you said, the 3rd at Byron Nelson. So I do like those finishes. If I'm taking that narrative, like you talked about, taking guys, these rookies from web.com who want to make sort of their stamp on the 2018 season, Keith Mitchell is one guy that I'm looking into. He can hit the ball far, right, and wedge it in. That's something that we really want to see here. Like you said, if he starts to spray it like extremely erratic, then he's not going to be someone that there's not going to be someone that's going to finish well, obviously. So for me, that's 7,500 because I'm starting a lot of my lineups, with the Henley, with the CH3, with those guys. Keith Mitchell is one of my core plays, and I do really like him.
All right, Looping Madman says, let's do some comparative rankings here. So head to head, would you play Keith Mitchell or Joel Dahman? Clearly, you're playing Keith Mitchell.
Yep.
I'm not playing either, but I actually prefer Joel Dahman in the spot. Wawrinski versus CT Pan and Abraham Answer. I'm also not playing either one of the 3. I would play CT Pan of those 3, though. Next one, Wagner versus Lingmerth. 2 other guys that I'm just not using. I would play Wagner.
Yeah, Wagner.
Okay. Poston versus Mullinix. Yeah, now we've got 2 guys that I'm actually playing. I am playing Trey Mullinix. Every case that you just made for Keith Mitchell, I'm going to apply to Trey Mullinix, who actually scores really well on these short par 4s as well.
Yeah, when I was doing my research, I mean, these guys are getting mixed up all the time for no reason. Their names don't sound familiar at all, but they kind of have the same game, right? And we saw Trey Mullinix pop. I mean, he can hit the ball a mile too. This guy can just bomb it off. And we saw, I believe, was at Valero. One of those.
Yeah, I had him as a gigantic outright to win, and then he flubbed the chip on 8 or 17.
Got the yips. He got a little scared. He couldn't close it, but
he hit the bunker shot like I hit bunker. Like when I'm on, like he was in the middle of he was on the fairway next to the hole. There was a bunker, and then up to an elevated green. He does exactly what I do when there's a bunker between me and the green. I hit a laser into the bunker. Sometimes I get lucky though, because I hit it such a laser and skull it so much that it hits the bunker and goes out of it.
Yeah, you take some speed off instead of getting backspin. That's how you stop the ball. Yeah, Trey Mullinix is another guy. He's another guy that that I really like. I had to make a stance sort of in that area, but Trey Mullinix is a guy that if I wanted to take some shares off of Keith Mitchell, it'd be him.
All right, last one: Harkins versus Burgoon versus Corey Connors versus Kim. I like Corey Connors, and I like Brandon Harkins. Both of those 2 guys are core plays for me. I actually prefer Harkins a little bit more.
Yeah, it's going to be Corey Connors for me.
Yeah, see, there's the 2 guys. Are you playing any Burgoon or
No.
Okay.
I don't mind it, though. Burgoon's playing well. He's statting out nicely. We've seen him in this. Again, this is another field. We keep on harking on it. It's another field where he can pop. And he played in a quote-unquote stronger field last week a little bit better. So I can see it, but I'm not playing him.
All right. Christopher Harris asks, could Tim Andercust beat Joey Chestnut? Absolutely not. Unless it was a cig smoking competition. He could definitely win that. Especially on a hot day when he's smoking his menthols. I wish. Next time, if you ever come up to Toronto, you need to give me a carton of those like Camel Crush cigs. The ones where you can smoke like a regular cig, and towards the end you can press the filter, and then you get some menthol. Whoa, make your breath smell delicious. Any love for...
I don't know if I can endorse that, though.
Amy Papes asks, thoughts on Sam Ryder and Big Norm as sub $7,000 plays? I like Big Norm. I'm not playing Sam Ryder this time around.
Yeah, I'm not playing either. I like Sam Ryder last week a little bit more than this week. Again, Big Norm, I want to see it. He was kind of like that guy, your boy, Hot Fire. What's his? Dylan Meyer.
Oh, Dylan Meyer? Hot Fire? Dylan Meyer?
Yeah, I kind of want to see it. I want to see how he plays. Obviously, he's an extreme talent. He's a young kid. This is his first tournament. I want to see how he plays. And then go from there. But I'm not playing either.
We saw Neiman show up to this course last year as basically the top-ranked amateur, a complete unknown, really, and finish inside the top 20. Most weeks, I'm with you that I wouldn't take a shot on a complete unknown, sort of show me first before I do anything. But I think where this field's so weak that if I'm just assessing talent from below the $7,000 level, Big Norm is probably where it's at. Sure,
and like you said, he doesn't really know better, right? This is his first go at it, so hopefully he doesn't hold anything back and he just bombs it out there and uses his strength off the tee in terms of distance and then wedge it in. That's what he said at his press conference. He's going to attack a lot of these in that sense. He's going to take the par threes, hit it in the middle of the green, and take pars. And so that's his strategy. We'll see how it pans out. But yeah, he's a talent, so I don't mind it, but I'm not playing him.
I wish Doug Gim was in this field because he's rolled up a few. He's in the field with John Deere next week, and so is Big Norm. It might be a nice spot because as preview for my write-up of next week, when I assessed the winners, I went through them a little bit earlier. It's a spot where one of the favorites just wins, or whoever else, like it's where Spieth got his first win, it's where Bryson got his first win, it's where Harman got his first win. If you think that one of these like really young guys is going to be someone who's going to be good in like 2 years, they might just win the John Deere.
Yeah.
So when you
like I said,
when you go back and look at it, it's like, oh yeah, of course he won. He's good.
Yeah, I mean, you like you said earlier in the show, that John Deere has more of a ball strikers and guys who really have talent. I would venture to think that if Dylan Meyer, if he was playing, I would look into him a little bit more as well at the John Deere. It's just this tournament, I kind of want to see it from. But yeah, Gim is an interesting play. I'm going to be looking into him a little bit more just because he has that experience. So
can we go with Hot Fire, Dylan Meyer? Can we just call him Dylan the Pylon?
Yeah, we can. Right,
we'll workshop these. Ari asks, any love for Kevin? Nah. Seems like a nice pivot in the 8K range. Pivots in the 8K range that I like. Nah is one of them. I'm waiting to see. I just want him to hit his irons kind of sneakily well this week, not finish like T47 because I might bet him next week at the John Deere because he's definitely someone who can win there. But Streelman, if you just take away his one bad round, he's pretty good. I'm not using him, but I think he'd be a decent pivot play. And Kisner and Snedeker are the other two, just based on talent alone. I think I'd play all three of those guys before I played Nah, but I'm not playing any of them.
Yeah, I think I would go Nah, Streelman. I mean, I still like Streelman. Like I said, one bad round is not going to make this guy's next week. And maybe we see him just kind of fold it because for whatever reason something's wrong with him. But I don't think that's the case. So for me, it'll be Nah, Streelman. Snedeker, he's popping in some cases, but I'm not seeing it this year. The same thing with Kevin Nah. Kevin Kisner. Kisner is just we saw it last year. Maybe that was something that we were seeing where he was just hitting his irons, getting in the fairway, and he was putting. I mean, he had a full his form was great last year. We're just not seeing it this year. So I'm full fading Snedeker and Kisner. And if there are pivots, it'll be Nah and Streelman for me.
Tyler, this is something I used to do back before I had a video show. So we're going back like 6-7 years on the podcast right now. I used to refer to this as the worst question in the world. And then I would have sound effects with like lightning and thunder sound effects. Tyler asks, I know he's very bad, but what are your thoughts about possibly taking a flyer on Smiley Kaufman, Reed?
No, absolutely not. I'm trying to keep my curse words to a minimum on 4th of July. but absolutely, no, there's no way.
No,
absolutely not.
Throw your money away on Smiley Kaufman. Christopher Harris asks, any shares for Sean O'Hare? No for me.
Nope, none for me.
What do you think about Kevin Na? We just went through that, so that's your answer there. Jesse Jeffries. Nick asks, feel like this is the kind of course where 2013 Brandon DeJong would hit it to under 7 feet for birdie on every hole and still shoot -2. Yeah, Brandon DeJong still holds the record for most earnings in the history of the PGA Tour with having 0 career wins. And he's in the field this week. I love Brandon. He used to be like when DraftKings Golf first started. Just lock in Brandon DeJong to your cash game every single week because he made every cut for like 2 straight years. Not anymore, though.
I mean, I didn't even know he was still playing. I mean, so I'm not going to have him. But you're right. It's a pretty impressive feat to achieve. It's the most earnings for no wins. I'm not playing it.
How old, bro? Brandon DeJong's only 37 years old? Good Lord. I was like, oh, he'll
in his late 40s.
Yeah, it's like I was gonna say he's probably gonna spike on like the seniors tour soon, but good God, I mean, go on a diet, pal. Freshen yourself up. Scott Grigg asked, Lingmirth any good this week? Not for me.
No, none for me.
Oh boy, here we go. Oh, the chat skipped on me. All right, Scott Piercy. I'm always on him, and I always regret it. And with the news about the Canadian Open next year, the week before the U.S. Open, returning back to Hamilton Golf and Country Club, where Scott Piercy won last time. I like Scott Piercy this week. I bet him. He's a core player for me. Give me a short course with par 4s, and if TPC Summerlin is actually going to be maybe something that you look at for corollary, and he's from Vegas, he can deal with this elevation a little bit. I like Scott Piercy a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't right, I can't believe I'm going to say this. If he wasn't right by Ted Potter Jr., then I'd play him a little bit more. I do like TPJ, and he's for me, he's the Hal Sutton of this year. I mean, he's Slay the Dragon and DJ, kind of like how Hal Sutton did with Tiger. But the thing about Piercy, he's like you said, he's fantastic. If he can get his putter back to normal, and we saw that a little bit, he's great in terms of green and regulations, and that's I think what you need outside of. Right, the par 4 scoring, outside of the birdies, a better game, and some of these other stats we talked about to get a green. I think you need to hit the greens and reg, and so I do like him there. If I'm going to, pivot some shares off of TPJ, which I don't think you need to, Scott Piercy would be the guy.
I'm just using both. I think I have more Piercy than TPJ, and I bet them both. You can get Ted Potter 100-1 right now, which is kind of crazy. Guy's playing pretty top notch, so this is just due for a letdown. But you need to have guts if you want to play Scott Piercy, because he's a model guy. He's no different than, there's a couple guys, and we talk about them all the time. People are like, I don't want to play Luke List. He sucks. Although I think right now he's 8th in DraftKings points gained per salary. Like, Piercy's on that list. Keegan's on this list. Luke List is on the list. Vaughn Taylor is on that. James Hahn is on it. Hahn. It's just, some weeks they're not going to putt, and they're absolutely going to destroy you. But you want to be there for the weeks that they just putt around average, because tee to green, they are just lights out every single time. Like this week, Piercy is discount Keegan, is what he is. So I'm going to play him. In fact, I'm going to play both of them. Joseph asks, happy belated Canada Day. Well, happy America Day to you, Joseph. Love the show. Who's the chalkiest player below $7,000 right now? By what I can see, it's either going to be Scott Stallings or Vaughn Taylor.
Yeah, I think Garrigus, just because of the name down there.
Potentially, yeah. I forgot about Garrigus. Yes, you're right.
Chalk down there.
Out of those 3, Garrigus is the only one that I'm playing.
Yeah, same here.
I did bet all 3 of them as first-round leader, though, I think. Maybe I left Stallings off. Maybe I'll have to add Stallings. Look for an update on my cheat sheet later on. Facebook.com/ThePME if you want to check that out. Ponderosa, can John Daly make the cut? Why not? Although I think he's injured.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one tournament, it's this one, right? John Daly, I took a little look into John Daly just because it'd be fun to watch. But no, I hope he does, because he's just a fun guy to watch. He's probably going to be wearing, the American flag pants, and probably going to be smoking a cig every hole. So, yeah, I mean, he's the people's golfer.
Top 3 finish or too much risk? 1, Xander Schauffele. 2, Robert Streb. 3, Danny Lee. That would be 3 years in a row for a second for Robert Streb. I guess this comes down to a course history thing. Wasn't Streb in first place at one point on Thursday last week? He ended up missing the cut. I just remember seeing him up there. What the hell was going on? Robert Streb has been terrible for 18 months, and then obviously he shot 80 and missed the cut. But I'm not playing either one of those 3 guys. I just think they're full fades for me.
Yeah, same here. Xander, I mean, like I said, he's
Xander is good. Xander can definitely win this. When we're talking about talent, by far, way more talent than these other 2 guys. Right. But I just went in a different direction with Russell Henley and Neiman, so I couldn't use them.
Yeah, same here.
All right. Vaughn Taylor or David Hearn? I'm playing David Hearn. Feel the Hearn, Reid.
Yeah. I mean, if those two, David Hearn.
Does Rory Sabatini bounce back, or will he kill my lineups for a third straight week? The run is over. He made like 12 cuts in a row. Now he's missed 2 cuts in a row. I don't think his upside is high enough that you just want to go back to him again. I tried it a little bit last week. Didn't work. So I'm off the train. Maybe this is the time to get back in, but no for me.
Yeah, same here. I think he's the second half, if we're in the second half of the season. He's sort of the Ches Rivi effect, right? He kind of hit this wall. We saw him pop, and I like him in stronger fields just because for whatever reason he gets up for his competition. I think he's hitting some fatigue. He played quite a bit of tournaments, and so I'm going to be full fading, and especially Trey Mullinax, some of the other guys down there.
Lee Ledyard via asks, I have $7,500 left. Rank Mitchell, Dahman, Spawn, and CT Pan. Where I'm only playing one, there's only one answer. Give me some JJ.
Yeah, I would go Mitchell, Spawn. Who are the other two?
CT Pan and Joel Dahman.
Yeah, and then so CT Pan and Joel Dahman.
Okay. Billy asks, should we give our lineup a shot of Jagger this week? He gained so many strokes putting at the Quicken Loans. Like, because I really thought it was like, oh, this is a good tie-in for the show. I can tell people to give their head a shake if they're not using a shot of Jagger in their lineups, but then I need to give myself a head shake because I'm not using any Steven Jagger.
No. I mean, yes, he's putting better, but no Jagger for me.
Kevin says, so Scrubs and Scrubs is the preferred build this week?
Yeah.
It's not a terrible way to go about it. You can throw in like a Neiman in there and go nuts.
Yeah. I mean, stars, you got to use that term lightly. So
Nick asks, any interest in Nick Watney or Johnson Wagner? I gave a hard look to Watney. He was a last cut from my core, but I decided to pass and go with Spawn, TPJ, and the other guy that I just talked about in that area, Trey Mullinax, instead.
Yeah, same here. I gave Bill Haas a look too. He's not playing well. I think his course could set up nicely for him, right? A par 70 where we like to see Bill Haas. His price is nice at that 7,200 in this price range. But like you said, I'd rather take some of these guys. Like even a Kelly Craft is someone that I'd rather play than the guys that they mentioned, like a Watney or a Wagner, just because those guys I think have a little bit more upside than the other three.
TJace25, is Sam Ryder the decent pivot off of Bobby G? He is a decent pivot off of Bobby G, I suppose, but not one that I'm going to make, but most definitely if you wanted to.
Yeah, and again, a pivot, right? The chalk down here is not going to be a lot. It depends how many lineups you're making. If you're making 20, a 10%, 2 of 20 lineups, you're not going to forego that. So be careful in terms of where you pivot, just because if you like him and if he fits in your model, he fits in your lineup, then play him.
Mark my words, Mr. VS says, Brian Harmon is the one this week. Good luck with that. You might as well bet him then, since I think he's like 33 to 1. You can make yourself some decent cash if you know he's going to win. JT Poston Love, how much is too much? I'm not using him, but sure, if you like him, then go all in on him.
Yeah, I'm not using him either, but yeah, if you like the guy, I mean, he's flashed in some cases, but not for me.
Do you know anything about Chase Seifert? Seems like a theme in the year of invitees making it through to the next tournament. I mean, he played well at Travelers. He played college golf with Brooks Koepka and Daniel Berger at Florida State. I believe he was on that same team. He played really well the last time. The only reason he's in this tournament because he came top 10 at the Travelers, but I'm not going to use any Chase Seifert.
No Chase Seifert for me. There was one guy I saw on Twitter. I mean, everyone started talking about it. TJ Vogel. I mean, he's a guy he's not in the field, I don't think.
Yeah, he qualified again. He set the record for most.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he passed Patrick Reed's record of 6. He's now up to 7. He's not in the DraftKings system, though. He never is because he always just qualifies on a Monday.
He's someone that if there was like a Monday qualifier bet that you could place, I mean, he's a guy that's just rallying it off. But no Chase Seifert for me.
Is Harkins the popular play down in the scrub territory? I would have to say yes.
Yeah, I think Connors is getting some looks, but yeah.
SSS. SS space S, and you want to watch out for that. Where does Mayo get his haircut? Cuts for less? Listen, I have to have a bad haircut because I'm too handsome. It would be off-putting to the viewer to see some supermodel sitting here, so I got to dress myself down with a bad haircut, right, Reid?
Yeah. What happened to the shaved head? I like that look a little bit better. That was getting you a lot of fire, a lot of heat.
I'm going to a wedding this weekend, so I might come back, and I got to do the British Open show So I might get like a fancy British style like hairdo for that one,
classy.
just to top it up a bit. But after that, I might go back to the shaved head. It's incredibly hot around here. QQ Haggy has not withdrawn. I'm pretty sure Haggy has withdrawn. Hasn't he?
No, he definitely has.
He definitely withdrew, yeah. Love Harkins. Good pick, scores fantasy points every week. Okay, now we're back to not questions again. Thoughts on Patrick Rogers? He's been playing good golf. Hits the ball long and putts it very well, especially on bent grass. That is true. He was one of Final Cut. I'm more interested in him next week at the John Deere Classic.
Yeah, he's putting well. He plays well in par threes too. So he popped. Par threes are hard, and like you mentioned it too, right? Par threes are so variant. They are hard. They're I think the 3 of the 4 ranked pretty tough in terms of handicap, and most of them are over 200 yards, and that's where he gains a lot of his strokes. But it's variant, right? Par threes aren't like the tee to greens, they're not like the par fives, where there's sort of a recipe for success. So that I can see it there. And Patrick Rogers is another guy who can hit it far, who can play well, but it's just not for me.
Michael asked, would you rather Patrick Rogers, Ryan Blum, or Andrew Putnam? I'm only playing one, and that would be my main man, Andrew Putnam. I'm just going to the well until he hits a wall.
Yeah, Andrew Putnam.
All right, next one. Greg says, thank you guys for what you do. Helps out a lot. Thank you for tuning in, Greg, especially on a holiday where you definitely don't have to. I mean, you never have to, but we're glad that people actually showed up on Independence Day to watch a live chat about the Greenbrier. People love the DK. People love you, Reid Fowler. I think that's really what it's about.
Well, I mean, I appreciate it. And thank you, but they love you. They're not coming here for this guy. They're coming here for you.
No, you unlike all my other guests, you have such positive vibes about you. Everyone else is just a crank, including myself.
It's just where I'm from. It's I mean, you have to be, and if you're not, then you got to give your head a shake. If you're an asshole from Hawaii, then come on.
Next one. Scott says rank Gay, Blum, and Armour. I like Armour, then Gay, then Blum.
I would just switch Gay and Armour. I think Gay's playing really well, and I like him this week.
Thoughts on Sean O'Hare in the $6,800 range? We both passed on him. We talked about him a little bit earlier. Lovemark was 3rd last year at the Greenbrier, but shot an 82 at the Quicken Loans. Which do you feel is more predictive of his performance this week? I would say neither, really. Yeah. He's been playing well, but like I mentioned, the tee to green stuff has been good, but a lot of it's being propped up by a short game right now. The approaches aren't necessarily where he was at coming in. I used the time machine feature on Fantasy National to really give Lovemark a hard look. He's another guy that I might be more on next week than this week. I've decided to full fade. And did you say you were using him a little bit though?
No, I'm not. Like you said, he's one of those guys that you want to kind of play, right? He can hit the ball far, he can potentially club it down, but he's just not playing well enough for me to put him in my lineup. So no.
Jimmy Walker bounced back this week. I like him to win. I think we both said we're full fading him, so probably he will win.
I might have some shares of Jimmy, just because I want to call him Johnny Walker. But he's playing better. He's got good finishes, but he also has a lot of miscuts, and he's a variant golfer. He's talented, but maybe a couple.
Greg Turner says, what happened to projections on Fantasy National?
You just got to click it.
Yeah, you got to click ownership projections, and boom, they're there. I'm looking at them right now. Favorite play. Oh, Jesus. Jumped on me again. Let's see here. Favorite plays, $7,400 and under in cash games. Let's see. Corey Connors, Harkins, Spawn would be my 3.
Yeah, same here. I mean, maybe Ben Crane is a guy in cash that you could potentially, but in cash, right, you kind of want to cut equity. And a lot of these guys are down here because they don't give you that. So that would be the only other guy that I would potentially look at sub 74, 75K, whatever that price range was.
Wee Kim is popping up for me. Any thoughts on this, or is it another way to burn my money? He's popping up because it's all bent grass putting. He is just, whenever you get on bent grass, Wee Kim just tends to pop up because I believe no matter, actually I have the list in front of me. I tweeted it out and there's a link in my column to it as well. Let's see, where are you at here? Bent grass putting.
Wee.
No, those are stat ranks. No, birdies are better gained. I really need to label this stuff a little bit better. British Open. Well, now
he likes Bermuda.
He likes Bermuda, does he? Let's see here. Open up the column, go to bent grass putting. Here, we can pull it up right here. Phil's also really good on bent as well. So if I pull it up, yeah, Wee is like 11th over the last 8, he's second past 24, and over the past 50 rounds, he's second in bent grass putting. So that's why I'm guessing that if you do look at his putt, and he's a pretty good putter to begin with, and if you're weighting that a lot this week, that could be one of the reasons that he continues to pop up. I'm not playing him. Sean Combs, P. Diddy, Askin, Trey Mullenix, David Lingmerth, Bill Haas or Ben Crane? Which is the best play in your opinion? For me, it's Trey Mullenix. He's the only one that I am playing. Ben Crane was a final cut from my core list, though.
Yeah, same here. Trey Mullenix and Ben Crane.
Next one, Nick. Oh, he's back. Oh, Brandon DeJong questions. No, I'm not using Brandon DeJong. Oh, this SS guy. Oh, he's filling up the chat. I'm just going to remove him.
Timeout.
Well, he's just filling it up. Now I can't see the question, so he's ruining it for everyone. Can you discuss single entry strategy? Do you factor chalk? Not really. I just I actually talked about this on that strategy show with CJ, and he struggles doing it too. I think we all struggle filling out single entry lineups because I just look at my lineups like, which one do I think is the best? Throw ownership aside, throw everything aside. Which one do I just like? Which one would I play in a cash game, basically? And I go with that one. Now, I never win them, so maybe that's a horrible strategy, but that's what I do. What do you do?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I sort of throw ownership out because if you feel like guys are going to win the tournament, it doesn't matter price range or ownership. That's the guys that you want in your lineup. So you're not really playing the ownership game. You know, it's hard to, you're not really playing against the field either, right? Against the other competition. So for me, I stay away from those. I think this week though is actually, to that question, is a week to try some of those out. I think a lot of people aren't going to be playing DFS just because of the holiday here. And the tournament is not, one to write home about. So I might, venture into the 3 max entries and some of those guys. And I think you were saying Leone does some good stuff in terms of that. So I would lean on him. For me, I don't really play single entries that much. And if I do, I never win them.
I think the only one that I'm playing this week, I played the $12 dog. I think there may have been a $27 single entry that I entered too. It just seemed like a new tournament. I was like, hey, that looks pretty good. I did play for the first time. I usually just play I play like one lineup in the $44. I'll play like 20 to 40 in the $5. The $5 this week, there's still like, what is it? Almost just less than 50,000 entries left to fill. There's already almost 73,000 entries in it. So I think they'll probably end up filling. Yeah. We'll see. The overlay percentage right now is only 27%, and we've seen a mad rush to that towards the end of Wednesdays. We'll see if people are, maybe it works one of two ways. Maybe people get real boozed and enter way more lineups than they normally would. That's usually what happens to me. But I played the 3 max entry $20 this week. I never play it, but I decided that I'm going to try that one out every week. Because I like to keep like my entries between like $150 to $300, and that all kind of fits in. So I'm going to try out some 3 max entries and get back to you to see if it works at all. I didn't use any one 100%. I tried to enter 3 lineups that had like 66% of everyone. So if that core hits, I'm looking real good this week, I think.
Yeah.
Next one. Which one is most likely to bust? Armour, Putnam, or Answer? My answer is Answer because I didn't use him, so I pray it's him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's in a prime spot to bust, right? If there's bad chalk somewhere, I don't think Answer is going to be chalk. He's the guy. He popped last week, and that's what we kind of see in this stretch of tournaments, right? And that's why I think you and I and a lot of guys are on these web.coms, these rookies, because of that. But having said that, they're extremely variant. So for me, it'll be Answer as well.
The Allen Iverson of the PGA Tour?
Well, it's just practice.
This next question concerns Bubba Watson. It says, let's see here. Oh, I clicked off something. I clicked off the chat and onto one of my other videos, so that's not good. So it says, Bubba Watson, no one's talking about him. Where did it go? I'm ruining it. I'm absolutely blowing it here. There it is. Is Bubba going to be under-owned? He seems to have little to no buzz this week. Per the ownership projections, Bubba Watson and Phil Mickelson and Xander Schauffele are the 3 lowest owned per Fantasy National. Now, I think that Bubba might end up coming the lowest of all of them. People look at his track record here. They know he lives or he has a property on the course, and it's not a Bubba track. And if it's not a Bubba track, you usually don't play Bubba. Yeah,
and when you look at his finishes year over year, I think spanning back to 2013, he's done better every single year.
So maybe he's trending, is what you're saying?
I mean, like I said, take it with a grain of salt, right? I mean, we say that he's a guy that might just be there to have fun. But yeah, he's been playing well. If you think Bubba is in for his 4th victory this year, then yeah, I'm not playing him as much, I think, as I would other places. Like you're saying, it's not a Bubba track. But if you had to, I wouldn't mind it. I'm not playing him that much.
Yeah, he'll be like, I would guess anywhere between 9 and 13% owned in the giant $5. It's hard to get a real gauge on exactly what's going on. So it's not like he's going to be unowned completely. People will use Bubba. 4 starts since 2013 at the Greenbrier, 30th, 16th, 13th, 70th last year. So, I mean, he could pop. He's having the best year he's had in ages. And a 4th win, even though it is the Greenbrier, could go a long way to solidifying, some extra cash, which it would do, and really bump him up in that Player of the Year conversation. So, Aaron Wise, I like this setup for him. Lean on his driver. I don't think he'll attract much ownership either. That's from Ari. I tend to agree. I didn't use him. He's missed 3 straight cuts since getting his win. But I don't know. Not doing it for me here. I know a lot of people long-term wise, if you're betting on talent like him and Chappell, are 2 that you can really go to. But I'm just not doing it.
I like Wise here, actually. I think Mr. Friendzone is going to, for me, is one of the guys that one of my core guys. I think at that 7,900 price, I fit him in a lot of my lineups. Obviously, he can hit the ball far. We've seen that. He's great. Strokes gained tee to green, strokes gained par 4, and he gets birdies. And so this course, if you can match the birdies or better gain along with the distance and get it close in terms of proximity with the wedges, I really like Wise here. So he's going to be one of my core plays.
My chat is not really loading. An Ollie, here we go. An Ollie question. That's always going to be fun. Does Ollie have any upside anymore? Maybe. I don't really love him at birdie fests, which this could really set up to be, although it did play around average last year, so like -14, -15. By the ownership projections, Ollie's going to be like 1% owned, though. He's going to be like the lowest owned guy from 7,500 to 11,000.
Yeah, but like, why does he even warrant a 7,500 price tag?
Because he doesn't. Because he doesn't wear a hat.
Exactly. He's like the Tiger Woods, just the name value down here in this range where everyone just sees Ollie and they play. I mean, 7,500 is absurd. He's not playing well. I'm not playing Ollie. No way.
All right, we'll try to wrap it up here. Brandon says he's going with a small core this week, 10 to 15 players. Is that the way to go? I think that really depends on the amount of lineups that you're playing. Yeah. In the last 15 or 50 rounds, JJ Spawn is dead last in the field in strokes gained putting on bent grass. Does that give you any pause? I have never taken pause with JJ Spawn. He's not a good putter anyway. So if he can just putt around average, which apparently he can't do on bent grass, although he did putt like all right last week on bent grass, that doesn't really concern me.
He's close too. He's one of these web.com guys, these rooks that are close. We've seen him pop in a few tournaments. So we also talk about it. Putting is the most variant. Yes, in terms of bent and the statistics that we've grabbed in Fantasy National, wherever you're grabbing statistics, he doesn't pan out well, but that can flip to even where he's matching the field. He's hitting he's striking his irons, tee to green, he's playing well. So I wouldn't put too much stake into putting. Yes, we've seen it over the years that putting it pops in statistics, but don't wait too much because Spawn's is a nice play.
Next one, Dane says Dominic Bozelli, the Boz. Each way this week, he's my diamond in the rough on DK. He made a ton of birdies last week, although I believe he ended up missing the cut, but he made like bogey, 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 birdie, 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 birdie. The Boz pops like 3 times a year. This is one of them. Good on you. Not for me.
Not for me either. No Boz.
Bill, this question is not golf related, but it says, Pat, the people are craving for Cody and Paul's breakdown for the UFC tough finale in UFC 226. Well, you're in luck here because as soon as we finish this, we're going to be filming that, so it will be out later on tonight. We just got to wait for Cody to get here. Cody, always late, so we can keep the chat going for a little bit more. Malnati at 6,900, the best putter over the past 50 on bent grass. Any love? He's just a really good putter in general. That's where he makes his bones. So if the putter is off, he's going to be like dead last. But if it's a great putting week, he can contend, but not for me.
No.
Any love for Ben Crane? I'm not playing him.
I got some love for Crane. Like I said, I never play cash. Crane's not a cash play either. But if you want some semblance of cut equity, I think he's potentially down there. I'm not going to be overweight. If anything, I'm going to match or be underweight Crane.
RH says, pre-inebriation regards from sunny San Diego, the whale's vagina of the West Coast. Thoughts on Ryan Blom top 25 finish? I can see it. I didn't end up using Blom because there was too many guys in that area I liked a little bit more, but I can definitely imagine that happening solely because he's been playing so well.
Yeah, he's been playing well, and he stats out decently in my mixed model as well, and that, again, is taking sort of all of the course specifics, tee to green here. So, yeah, he stats out nicely, top 25. I could see it. Again, this is another, like, I'll beat this till we're done here. This is a course and a tournament that you can take these flyers. So top 25 isn't out of the norm or isn't out of the question for a guy like Baum.
Dane says, who do you have to win outright this week? You can find my entire cheat sheet with my picks up on facebook.com/thepme. And it's in a hyperlink in my columns as well. And I believe it's in the description of this video if you just want to click on that. Much easier than me just listing names off. Billy says, please read that list of bent grass putters, please. Well, no, you can just go to the column and click on it and read it out. Again, I just don't want to list off names. First time live for me. Well, thank you for tuning in. Malk with a C. Is a rookie going to win? If so, who has the best chance? I guess Putnam's not technically a rookie. Neither is Armour. Lonto. I'll go with Lonto as the rookie with the best chance to win. That's probably not the case. It's probably like Aaron Wise, but I'll go with Lonto. That's the one I bet.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be Keith Mitchell or Corey Connors. Those are the two guys that
I did bet Corey Connors as well, so maybe him. Michael asked Lonto, or it's not Lonto, Burgoon versus T-Dunks. I'd use T-Dunks.
I would say Burgoon in that situation.
T-Dunks was a hero on Friday in the morning wave last week when he was basically done and then just went on the harder 9, the front 9, and made like 5 birdies to make the cut. T-Dunks, my man. Thoughts on Patton Kizzire? Been pretty average on strokes gained approach. Strokes gained apex. I think that's supposed to mean approach. I don't know. Which is, this field is pretty impressive. I mean, that question doesn't even make sense. But no on Patton Kizzire. He's been brutal since winning at Miscellany.
Yeah, and brutal in par 4s too. He's like, I mean, a par 70, that's what you need. I think he's like over a 100th rank in my model over the last 24. So, nope.
Jesse says, who's going to be the first round leader? You can check out my first round leader bets. Again, facebook.com/thepme or in the description of this video in the picks cheat sheet. They're all listed right there. Wes Bryant or Keith Mitchell for $7,500. I would actually use Wes Bryant, despite the fact that I'm not using either.
Yeah, I go Keith Mitchell, but Wes Bryant, I mean, if you get him on a course that you don't have to keep it in the fairway or keep it even
next week. Next week for Wes Bryant.
Exactly. Back Keith Mitchell for me.
All right, let's try to wrap this up here. We're nearing the end of the questions. Got any Corey Connors shares? Yes, we've been talking about him. We've been talking about him all show. Scott Grigg, Austin Cook, last 3, 101, 6, 102, playing every other tournament. Good game for this week for tournament. Good game is the week for Austin. That's like almost a sentence. So that's pretty good, Scott. No, I'm not using Austin Cook. I'll give him a harder look next week at John Deere when it's a real scrubby field. Yeah,
Piercy and TPJ in that price range for me. I mean, we did ask these guys, you know, it doesn't matter in terms of blood alcohol level, all questions. So I'm sure that guy is getting close, if not over the limit. So obviously drink responsibly, everyone. But yeah, not for me.
Highest odds to miss the cup from Brandon Garbo. Big star in the 30s, Greta Garbo. Probably his grandma, which means he's got a lot of money, probably why he likes golf. I'm going to say Smiley Kaufman, probably the best odds to miss the cut.
Yeah, Smiley.
Chad, thoughts on Richie Warinsky? Tough name to say, by the way. Game seems like he likes Birdie Fest, a scrub that has a scrub name that could win this week. Sure, I was on him last week and he just brutalized me so badly. So I'm using my own bias and being off on him, but I have no problems using him.
Yeah, if you want to differentiate from like a CT Pan, some of these other guys down there in that 74 price range, he's someone that, like you said, I looked at him last week as well and took a deeper look into him, and it just wasn't popping. There's some other guys that I do like in that price range, but yeah, he's popping strokes gained approach. Green regulations over the last 24, he's top 25, so I don't mind it. I just rather play the Spawns, the Mitchells, right, the CT Pans in that price range as opposed to Richie W.
Any interest in Power or Stephanie? No, for me.
No, none.
Okay. Is this a Han week? Could be. Ranks decent in my model. Greens in regulation, and birdies are gained. Birdies are better gained over the past 12 rounds in 3 straight cuts made. I always like James Hahn, but he can be so hit and miss. He does seem like a guy who would win this tournament, although it's not quite the difficulty of a Wells Fargo or a Riviera where he has his other 2 wins. But I'm not using him, but I understand the logic behind it. I believe a lot of people in the DFS community are on him this week, if that means a lot to people, which it should, because there's a lot of smart people out there.
Yeah, again, win equity, right? We talk about it in these price ranges, and he's got it. And he's got the game to win. He's got the game to play well. It's just you haven't seen it in current form. And so that's something that you have to forego is the current form. I think you've seen him miss 8 cuts and then get a victory. So you got to take a gamble. I mean, he's definitely he's the GPP guy. So just leave it at that.
Trez Grant says, I'm going to win this whole thing. Great, then. That's congratulations. Then can I come on the show? No. Kenneth Collar says, I don't see putting stats? Question marks. Look under key stats. Bermuda Bentgrass. It's highlighted with a hyperlink. And the link is to that in the column on DKPlaybook.com. Figure it the fuck out. Billy Thornton says, Billy Guns, 1984, from sunny San Diego. Oh, would you go more weight on armor or Lahiri? As I have no Lahiri and a lot of armor, the answer for me would be Ryan Amail.
Yep, armor for me as well.
So, I mean, you got to think that people love America. It's Independence Day, and Ryan Armour, or Armour's last name, means love en français. So, there you go. You got to use that narrative if you want to go in. You think Lahiri? Please. Charles, what do you think of the Seifert guy? Not sure if it's been mentioned. Finished top 10 last week. He did not finish top 10 last week. He finished top 10 at the Travelers 2 weeks ago. We talked about him a little bit earlier. Good talent. We saw him play once in like 3 years. I doubt he can reel off back-to-back top 10s, but if you're feeling him, go with him. Last thing, your pick to win here, Reid. Let's hear it.
It's going to be CH3.
CH3. Oh, wow. CH3. I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I'm going to go. I took Henley in the one and done, but I bet Neiman. So, Joaquin Neiman at 33-1 is my pick to win this. Ari says, always appreciate the content. You the man, Pat. I think Reid's the man, and you definitely the man. Ari out there. Thank you all for watching. Please give the episode a like before you go. If you want to get in the DK Bucks contest, watch Monday's and Tuesday's show to figure out how to do that. Or just get in the draw, leave an iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, audio, podcast, 5-star review for the Pat Mayo Experience, and boom, slimmer odds to win. Plus, on the TakeCast Davis Maddox show this week, there is a draw to get a year free membership worth $200 on to fantasynational.com on there. I mean, you can just pay the $8 weekly, get used to it before the British Open. I would recommend doing that too, because it really does help. And you can check out that walkthrough video I did with CJ Bedford, who has wins of $100,000, $50,000, and $35,000 over the last 3 months, a Fantasy National member, and he did walk us through, with visuals, the process he goes through into constructing his lineup and doing research every week. It's not saying that you have to follow what he does, but I picked up a lot of tips from it and tried to work that into what I do every single week. So I do think it is beneficial to go back and watch if you're interested in really improving your process, and especially when it came down to like core players, how to cut down on my stats, and not just use everything, because the default setting for anyone is like, oh, I like some of that guy and some of that guy, and try to give yourself so many outs that you just end up raking yourself. So, Reid Fowler, where can people follow you on Twitter? Where can they watch your videos and find all of your work?
Yeah, Reid T. Fowler. So it's just my name with a T in the middle. Got my YouTube channel. I have my link up too in terms of putting out different blogs and so on and so forth. So some plays that I do like. But yeah, DK Live, DK Playbook, all that stuff. Reid T. Fowler everywhere.
Good luck to everyone out there for the Greenbrier. Let me know if you win some monies this week, and maybe you will be on the show, guy who said he was going to win. I mean, if you call your own shot, maybe you can be on the show. We'll see. Although next week's very busy with football and British Open getting ahead of the game stuff, plus John Deere and UFC. There's a lot going on. So maybe in a few weeks' time, if you win, maybe you can come on the show and brag about your big victory. But thank you all for watching. Be safe on Independence Day. Also on Independence Day, give your beer a real shot this summer with an ice-cold shot of Jägermeister. But please, drink responsibly and make it to the fireworks. So maybe if you need a quick pick-me-up later on, that shot of Jäger in the beer might be the way to go. Anyway, I'm Pat Mayo. The DK cheat sheet is up on DKPlaybook.com. The picks cheat sheet and one and done up on Facebook.com/ThePME. Download the show, like the show, do all that fun stuff. Leave a comment saying, hey, Pat, I actually like your haircut, which I actually kind of do. I do think it frames my face quite well. Anyway, I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.